right ahead.
One thing was missed, which is after, on the second page of the draft, under ordinance 2014-05, Human Relations Commission. After that, I did make a motion for council to contact Senator Dinman and Representative Corbin in an attempt to change the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act to include LGBTs. And although we didn't vote on it, a consensus was taken and it was unanimous, and so that's not recorded here.
I'm going to put it in order.
Yeah, it's down. What's the last thing?
I think it didn't say that you volunteered.
That was different. That was for the good of the order. Because after we had done the ordinance and then I made the motion and then you said, no, we don't need a motion, just do a consensus. Mayor Maxwell, you said, oh, Alex will help you with that. And I said, oh, I'd like to, you said Alex will help you draft a letter to Mr. Sullivan. And then under for the good of the order is when I said I would like to help with the letter. So, but the motion that was made and then the consensus to contact the state representatives was right after the ordinance 2014-05.
Just consensus, right? There wasn't a motion.
Yeah, it was.
I made the motion and the council president stopped me. Said it was never seconded because he interrupted and it was not going to be seconded because he said we didn't need it, it just needed to be consensus.
So you're just looking for this to be
Accurate.
they're asking you just move it up, is that what you're asking for?
No, because that part is actually accurate under for the good of the order. That I just said I'd like to provide input. Because it was.
What would you like added there? Just tell us what you want added, we'll see what everybody
Just
says.
say Councilor Feldman made a motion for council to contact Senator Dinman and Representative Corbin to change the PA Human Relations Act to include LGBTs. The action received unanimous consent.
I did remember something to that.
I did too.
Everybody okay?
Add in the new business?
She wants it under the ordinance.
It came right after the ordinance and before the ASCME.
Well, it was a separate consensus
It will just be a separate little blurb.
under new business, right?
Right above the.
Yes, under new business, right after ordinance 2014-05.
We can add it in there. Everybody agrees that you want to change your, add that? You want to add that out?
Yes.
That's good.
And there's one other issue, which is the executive session. It says the purpose was to discuss real estate. My agenda for that week said the purpose was for Garden Park and legal. So
Real estate legal, everything Garden Park is legal. So if it wasn't, then it was real estate legal.
well, it says just real estate.
You want to add just that legal, maybe?
I can't say what to add, so I wasn't at the executive
Well,
session. You have to say what the executive session
No, that's
is
why
about.
you want, it was definitely, tell me it was, Garden Park, which is, all Garden Park is legal, so, I guess we just took the grant and we said real estate.
litigation comes up.
You're right, that's fine, okay, so we'll change up.
It was announced, when it was announced, it almost said that it was,
We'll change it to legal, is that okay?
well, okay, accurately, what we said was it was for legal and real estate. Okay, that's what we
Okay,
said.
that's fine.
Okay, all right, Pat, you want to amend that? Okay, Alex? All in favor?
Thank you.
Opposed? You for it or against?
Oh, I'm sorry,
I wear cat.
yeah.
You're for it. Okay, thank you very much. All right, next, citizens to be heard.
Oh.
Just a minute, Tony, you want to?
Yes, any public comment during citizens to be heard. This is open to all taxpayers and residents of Downingtown Borough. If you're a non-resident, you may be permitted to speak in the discretion of Borough Council. Also be advised that these proceedings are subject to being audio taped and videotaped, so you may be recorded if you don't choose to speak.
Cool. So does council will
Excuse me. Okay, citizens to be heard.
All right.
Your name, please.
My name is Karen Steinbach. I live on Buchanan Court. Forgive my notes, I talk a lot, but I'm not really used to public speaking, so I collected my thoughts in writing before I spoke.
Okay.
I'm here tonight to speak in support of the anti-discrimination ordinance 2014-05. LGBT rights is something that are very near and dear to my heart, so when I heard that Downingtown was considering passing this ordinance, I was reminded of how proud I am to be a member of this community. When I heard there was opposition, I felt a mix of emotion, but the most pronounced one was confusion. After researching the topic, the one question that stood out to me was, is there a need for this ordinance? Tonight, I'd like to tell you why I feel there is a need for this ordinance. My oldest daughter, Olivia, is a third grader at East Ward. When she started kindergarten, Olivia became good friends with a little girl who happened to live in our neighborhood. Since we don't have busing to school, her mother and I became very friendly on our walks back and forth from East Ward. After several months, her mom finally felt comfortable enough to tell me that she was gay. Then she said something that simply took my breath away. She said, "I'm always afraid that coming out is going to complicate my daughter's friendships." In that moment, I realized that coming out isn't a one-time thing for her. Every single time her daughter makes a friend, she has to announce that she's in love with her wife, while secretly praying that people are going to judge her or treat her daughter differently. Until she spoke those words, I sincerely thought that LGBT rights had come such a long way and acceptance was real. At that moment, I realized what the true meaning of walking a mile in someone else's shoes meant. When it comes to equality, there should be no price tag, there should be no objections, there should be no politics, there should be only humanity. We should all be able to agree that discrimination has no place here. So is there a need for this ordinance? I really wish there wasn't, but the truth is there absolutely is a need. Downingtown is a good neighbor community. I hope you pass this ordinance to show that that community is for all of our neighbors.
Thank you for your
Thank
input.
you.
Chuck, Mayor.
Anyone else? Name and address, please.
Sarah Brown in East Brandywine Township. After that lovely speech, I want to explain first that I am for an ordinance. I just don't like the way it's here. So, first of all, is it right at all? The one idea of including LBGT is, I have to sit down, I can't stand, sorry. Is not considered, that it's a good idea to have it involved in all of this. It's nice to have a human relations ordinance, period. But this one was poorly written and very incomplete. Just out of curiosity, was the ordinance proofread for typos, omissions, and other errors before this one was typed today? Can you answer that?
I read the first one and I missed a few.
Okay.
Myself.
Okay. Now, the purpose and statement of policy, both of them are very weak. Here's something, when I did my research, I found that other municipalities made rather grand statements, and this is one of them. Whereas the public policy of the United States of America and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is grounded in the concept that all individuals are entitled to equality and equal protection under the law, as in the Constitution and the Commonwealth, within the Commonwealth Article Number 1. There are others that have more powerful statements, obviously. Downingtown includes, under the section titled Commission Roles and Responsibilities, statements that require the new commissioners to promote mutual understanding, cooperate with, and assist other organizations to improve relationships, and act as a referral group, and so on. What is missing from all of that is a very important statement that says all commissioners must attend training and education seminars. They must talk with the Pennsylvania Human Resources Commission officials and other agencies so they actually understand what their responsibilities are. What happens if someone has a complaint but needs help with that complaint, writing it all down? Is there a commissioner, or will there be a commissioner trained in that kind of personal assistance? Under the borough's second section, 90-7, titled Procedures, it states that complaints can be filed in person at the borough clerk's office. Did the borough manager, Steve Sullins, get demoted to clerk? Or do they mean it can be presented to Val at the front desk? Under notifications and answers, it states that depending on what the complaint is, notices may go to the PA Human Relations Commission and/or Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. But what about housing? Where did isn't there something to do with that? Why is there a subsection titled Fact-Finding Conference, and yet there's nothing on mediation? Fact-finding would be both parties presenting everything they feel is relevant to their cases. It would be absolutely private, according to what you have there, no recording or transcripts, and if the commissioner, properly trained I hope, can get the parties to agree into an agreement, that's great. That is what a mediator does. Now I do have a question that I would like a response. Will the commissioners be acting as mediators? Can anybody answer that?
Well, this doesn't say mediators. Are they going to be asking for help, to help resolve differences?
It allows them to have.
We'll have a discussion too. So
Okay.
we'll finish your question,
Okay.
please.
I'm trying to answer.
Excuse me, we're running a little over time there.
Okay, I'm almost done.
It's a very
I'm almost done.
important
An
matter
accredited
here, so I'm
mediator.
going to extend the time, so please.
Thank you. An accredited mediation service should be hired, and both sides would be paying for the cost. If there's still no agreement, then according to this, the commission would suggest they take the case to PAHRC, Court of Common Pleas, Equal Employment Opportunity, HUD, well, I'm in HUD. A public hearing run by a resident commissioner should not be considered. There will be neither lawyers nor judges. I see a public hearing as causing more stress, tension, and resentment within this community. This ordinance should end with mediation, like many of the towns and boroughs that do have HR ordinances. If mediation doesn't work, then the complaint should be referred to the District Court, Court of Common Pleas, PHRC, EEOC, HUD, but one other place which I think is very important, Pennsylvania Diversity Network. They have a Facebook page and a website, an email address, and a phone number. I'm done.
Thank you very much. We appreciate people out of town that aren't in the borough coming in and making a contribution.
Thank
Any
you.
other citizens to be heard? All right, thank you very much. Move on. Next, we have zoning hearing board. We have Kevin, what's the name? Scalafaro. That's who the zoning hearing board has come back to. We have two appointments tonight. Do you have a motion to appoint Kevin? Pardon? Second? Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Planning Commission, again, we have William J. Doyle. Do I have a motion to appoint ex officio? All right. All in favor? Questions? All in favor? All right. Steve, you'll let them know what you always do? Thank you very much. Okay, we have ordinance 2014-2, chapter 244, floodplain management. Tom's not here.
Tom is not here.
Do you want to defer that and go over it? You guys have, they'll address all the questions, is that?
You know where we are with the advertising on that? So that's been,
And the authorized to advertising, I'm asked to put in the form of an ordinance for council consideration and then authorization of advertising. There's also going to be some modifications to the zoning and salary services required.
Council okay with deferring that to when Tom's here, so we can, he kind of runs the size of the show. Is that all right? Okay, thank you very much.
Well, actually, before we do, what do we stand in terms of does this affect the changes that were made that we could receive fines if not adopted?
Well, we didn't advertise or anything yet, so we're not even at, we're still at the discussion stage, if I remember right. So we're still discussing, I mean,
no, this was part 2 of that. So we did approve the.
So this would have no effect on that?
No, we already did the ordinance, just like prior to December.
If it would, it would. All righty.
I have a question on that, the 2014, the one we're talking about. Okay.
It's in your packet.
I think I didn't have it, never mind, somewhere I saw it was 2013,
Nope,
and so, it looks like the one in the packet.
2013-02. All righty. Next, ordinance 2015-05, Human Relations Commission.
Do you want that through 2014, special clause?
Yeah, I think you're right. What did we-
We're not near 2015 yet.
Is that a motion to change the
Okay, we have a
date?
motion second?
Nick just made a motion, it's 2014. Can we,
Oh, you need to know. You make
so
a
that we
motion
can
to
all
approve?
agree on?
Motion to adopt? Okay, second? Okay, motion and second to adopt. Discussion.
Does somebody have one more question?
I don't know the order.
I gave the floor to you.
What's that?
Dan gave you the floor.
Margaret.
Okay, so I had a little clarification off of my question to Tony about the social clubs. So, but I do have a follow-up question to it, if I could ask, because I'm assuming I know the answer in pretty good detail. So according to, correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the Supreme Court, Pennsylvania Human Relations versus Moose Lodge in 1972 or something like that, if a social club comes, or provides something, either their dining facility, their grounds, their restaurant or whatever, to the public, then they could not be considered distinctly private. They could fall out of the distinctly private category.
At least for the events that they have, they're open to the public. According to clear, in those instances where they open their dining, so in that particular case, what happened was the club had opened its dining facility to the public, but would preclude African Americans from So they found that for the purposes of application of the act, that it was a public accommodation during this time period. As far as membership, that would be different thing. As far as access to those, what would be normally a private area, to make public procedure.
So, all right, let's talk in specifically to generalities. Generalities I get lost in sometimes. So, I have a social club in my district, in St. Anthony's Lodge. I attend it for many different functions. I'm not a member because I'm on the wrong side of the Italian family. My mom is unfortunately the full Italian, so I don't have the last name. But you know, there are events that are open to the public. A long-standing one, the Frog Leg Dinner. It's a male-only event, so it's open to the public. If somebody, after we pass this ordinance, if a female felt discriminated against that she couldn't attend this event, would recourse be that they could come to this our new Human Rights Commission and air their grievances and kind of bring St. Anthony's in, and have to defend themselves for it now?
Can I make a...
Well, no, I'm asking, I'm sorry.
I would,
I know the question was to him.
Since it's a public event, I would think that yes, they would be subject to the provisions of the act.
But Tony,
It's not a public event.
can I interject? That's not run by that club.
That's also not a public
That is
event.
run by an outside group.
It's a
That isn't a club function.
It's also not a
That's,
public
it's
event.
not a club function, that's a group. So you're asking about,
I
the
can't
club
even
can
get
do
tickets to
this, but that's, in other words, you can rent that hall and have a party, or any
All right,
hall
well
and have a party.
then okay, then
You're saying, can they go after the group or after the
could they
club?
go after the group then? I mean, that group is now discriminating against.
It's a private party.
But it's not private, because it's being open to the public.
No, it's not.
It is.
Half the time, I can't get tickets to this
Don't
stuff.
you have to be a member to get tickets?
You do have to be a member to get tickets.
It's invitation only. You have to
But
know.
but
You have to know
that's
Chip
open-
is there to get tickets to this.
But Josh, you've been there every year, so you have figured out how to get tickets. So that's not the question
Exactly.
here. So the tickets are open to anybody that can get tickets. It's open to the public. All I'm trying to figure out here is
Same as a show. If you can get tickets to a show, you can go see it.
But females are not restricted from going to the show. I'm worried that long-standing things in our borough may be affected by something like this, that
I'm
may have
hopeful.
unintended consequences.
I'm hopeful long-standing things are affected by this.
Okay.
I mean, that's
but
like,
I wasn't-
if you're defending, not letting women to the public dinner.
Let me go, then you can have it.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's, thank you for that. So,
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible we could be subject to it. I mean, it's so fact specific that you have to really drill down on the facts of that particular case, and of course, you probably have to sort that out. It is on a case by case basis.
so,
It's possible.
so and my only point for saying that is that might seem far-flung, or far-fetched, I guess, if you will, but Chief's not here. How long have you worked here? 12 years?
12, 13, 14.
You said, you stated last meeting that you've never had an incident come to the borough. The chief stated, how long has he been here, he's never had an incident come to it. So, all of these issues that we're saying aren't far-fetched, have never come up in the borough as a complaint form yet. So, it's not far-fetched to think that now when we pass this, somebody who's, aggregated or aggrieved by something like this may not take some kind of action. And
Isn't that the whole point? To allow them to take action?
but why?
Because they have no action today.
But to different events, to private events,
No,
that may be deemed public accommodation now for recreation, for public amusement, or however, whatever the word, resort or amusement.
It's my understanding with the frog light that only members get tickets. And those members can then sell those tickets to whomever.
To the general public.
Then the case, I assume the case will be with the individual members who choose not to sell it to whoever they want and discriminate against.
It's my understanding that I can't go, because I'm not a member of the Frog group or the Anthony's Lodge. I'm not allowed to go buy tickets. I have to, if someone has extra tickets, they can give me one. I can't go buy
Have you ever
tickets.
paid for a ticket?
Yes, if I paid someone
Okay, so
who was a
then-
member who already had tickets, they could go buy like a table.
Right, so they
I can't
sale,
go-
and then that sale goes back to the group.
But Josh couldn't go to whomever runs the
I've been-
event and buy a
It's
ticket.
been made clear to me that I can't go buy a ticket.
Which you have every year. So you can't say that.
Let's not debate how this function is run. If
Right,
you have a question to ask
I-
about
I-
this,
I
that's
understand
fine.
the question.
You're
I
getting
just-
totally off the thing
Well,
about
it's
who
not,
finds
it's
tickets.
very, it's very specific in terms of, that this has longer thing. Nobody here, and I think we've already said it, by the letter that we've committed to, and the compromise that was not even thought about, and then followed up later on saying that we will not compromise with you, that nobody here is against discrimination. Did I say that right? Let me see the right? Okay, I look for that. So I just want to make sure that we're thinking about all the unintended consequences, and I still make the recommendation that we can still make our statement, we can still pass an ordinance that has effects and not have to go through this overreaching commission that does have a lot of questions.
I have a question. When you're done, if you're done. In the other scenario, where the Downingtown Main Street Association is a nonprofit associated with the Borough of Downingtown. They want to do a ticketed event, a women's only event, in which men serve women. Would that be subject to this ordinance? A private nonprofit doing an event around Mother's Day in which only women can attend and only men serve. A private restaurant.
Possible some people.
Guys, you asked me a question. I mean, if I could ask a question. It seems like we're getting on track of what's going on. The way I understand it, Alex presented this, okay, to try to help anyone who feels as though they're being discriminated to have an outlet that they can go to. We can't pick and choose that we want to help this, not want to have that, we shouldn't do this, or if we do it, they might come to it. I thought this, in the way I understood it, was an avenue that they could come and express it. And if that brings people out, so be it. But I mean, now we're saying, is it for this or for that, but we can't do this for doing that? Is your intent, the way I understand it, the way you brought it, was to try to help and keep anyone from being discriminated, and if they are, to have an outlet to go to.
Mr. President, the intent is different from, I mean, the intent is all well and good, and I believe Alex's intent is good. It's a question of his intent. But just because he has good intent doesn't mean that the rules that are written here won't apply to something that's unintended. So, I mean, we all have good intent. I don't think anyone sitting at this table has ill intentions or ill will toward anything. But that doesn't mean the way things are written as is doesn't have longer impacts.
I think that's duly noted. I think we're repetition here. Any of you have any questions to bring up you'd like to state, because
Well, I think,
it's duly noted, so let's.
I think Councilor Wicker has some good points, and so are you saying then, if you have any suggestions to change this, or are there suggestions from you knowing? If you, are you looking to encourage people to utilize this, to complain?
Am I looking?
That's what it sounded like.
There's
No.
That you want people to come
Absolutely,
forward.
that's a ridiculous question.
But that's what Mr. Mayor said. He said
Nobody
he
wants to
people to come
encourage
forward.
discrimination. I mean,
No,
this is.
not discrimination, you want to
this is-
encourage people to come forward if they're,
Well,
so,
if somebody's being discriminated against, then they should be able to come forward. And people are today being discriminated against that can't come forward because they can't do anything about it.
And that's sort of
okay, well, okay, so that you brought up 2 points. One is, Councilor Winkler said if this is here, then people, it might encourage people to come forward, and you say, well, it's a good thing. Well, not necessarily if we can't do anything for them. Let's say it's for the Italian club or something like that. It's just going to make basically another layer of bureaucracy and cost the taxpayers more, and they're going to say, sorry, can't do anything for you. They're going to leave disgruntled. You get into a legal thing. I think it's encouraging.
Are you saying this is encouraging people to come forward and make false claims?
Or not necessarily false, but claims that where they think they're being discriminated against, and really they're not because it's allowed. But you're going to have to go through a very long process to kind of get there. Let's say with
How
a
do you
private
allow
club or something
discrimination?
like that. No, the private club thing. That's, private clubs are allowed to say, Italians only, women only, men only. They're allowed to do that. But
And
now.
by no means does this ordinance step on that.
Right.
Right, and what I think one of the points was being made was that somebody can say, well, wait, you have this ordinance now, there's no discrimination. I've always wanted to go to that Italian club, even though I'm Irish. And so, you know what, I want to go, and I'm going to file a claim because you're not letting me in there. So that's the point as far as it's kind of encouraging things. But that's one thing, okay? That wasn't really my.
May I just interject just so I don't lose my train of thought? Andy answered that because it was different than the way you presented it, the way Andy presented it. Tony, I'm sorry, Tony. So you're saying you don't want to have the borough incur anything over something legal? You don't want the borough to incur any legal expenses over things, so you don't want them to do this?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what my point was.
Is that what you did say, something about it'll bring legal?
Well, it would incur expense for the tax.
So that's what you're worried about?
No, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about people getting the wrong idea that they can then, it's a legitimate private club, let's say, and somebody's going to say that now you're going to kind of open the door to.
The duty would then be on the board, the commission, to state the fact that social clubs have this.
Right to discriminate.
Social club, but
So we're giving.
it looks like maybe.
Wait, I just want to clarify what you just said. I'm sorry, this is seriously clarification. You're saying that you're giving the commissioners the right to allow discrimination then?
No.
You just said that. You said did you not just say the commissioners could then say social clubs can be allowed to do what they want to do?
This doesn't affect
But
private clubs.
Didn't you just say that?
This doesn't affect
I'm
the
sorry,
right of private clubs to.
Yes or no, did you just say that?
Repeat your sentence, I'll say it.
Did you just say that the commissioners would be able to determine if a social club is exempt from this?
No.
What did you say?
Well, let's not get a debate, guys. He said no. Let's not get a big, please.
Who determines if social clubs are exempt? You just
The
said
law,
that.
the ordinance. I talked to the guy who wrote the ordinance today, and he says private clubs are completely exempt from this. I read it that way. You
Well,
guys,
they're not
you two read it differently.
Well, they're not
I'm just
completely
asking
exempt
a
because
If they have a public event,
Tony just said that they're not completely exempt, and there's case law that backs it up.
If
so
they
they're
have
not
a-
completely
if they have,
exempt.
if they have a fair,
But don't say completely exempt when that's not the actual right word.
okay, so only public events, the private organizations
No,
have.
that's open to the general public.
And that would, as public events, or
So there's-
events open to the public, I would consider the same thing. Do you see it different?
Yeah, I do see it.
Okay, what's the difference?
There's difference.
What?
In terms between events and,
A public event or event that's public, what's the difference?
go ahead, what's your point, though?
Only public events does this apply to, the private clubs do. If a private organization doesn't allow African American, LGBT, or women to attend, they still can. In my opinion, unfortunately, but I feel very strongly about this, and I think I don't think if you host a public event in downtown that's free of charge to the public, you shouldn't have the right to discriminate.
Let's-
And I don't understand why anyone would have trouble with that.
I'm sorry, can we move around the question when you're finished?